All right. All right. We've appeased the baby. We're live on YouTube, right? We're live on Spaces.
Are we live on YouTube?
We're live on YouTube. We are a rolling. So, without further ado, welcome to the show. Finley with the mic in the face. Hang on. Let me get that thing out your face. All right, that's better. All right. Yeah, so you got what you got there? I can't see it.
It's an Olipop. I know
Oh,
it's not a Booch today, but still believe in the functional beverages.
almost a Booch. We're working with some Similac sensitive formula here
Mm.
for Finley F Baby. We call him Wheezy. And I got some water with electrolytes because sweated a lot tonight at the gym. I haven't been on a Booch kick. I think it's just something about the area. There's no good Booches at the grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that New Braunfels might be the Booch headquarters of the world, but I guess not.
It's not. We're close enough to Austin. I need to take a trip out there sometime and get a little into a more Boochy zone. But, without further ado, today's episode of Kane's Talk with Jazzo, because we can't call it a Booch ball without the kombucha or without the McGuire. But we're going to do some Kane's Talk, a little preseason hype or lack thereof. Jazzo might be raining on the parade. I shaved since last week, but let's just get into it. Offense, obviously, Carson Beck coming in from Georgia, gonna be taking over from Cam Ward. Big shoes to fill, but got a guy who could fill them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on this in our first preview episode. I think that Carson Beck will be a good replacement for Cam Ward. I don't think he's Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but we'll see. We'll see how he goes. I mean, we're also not getting Carson Beck at 100%. I still think that he's probably at best 85 to 90. And I think we talked about it. You'll see it on deep balls that he might not have the velo that he's used to, but
yeah, we'll see. I mean, like we said last time also, I hope he's further ahead than you think he is. And also I learned something since last week. I learned that he didn't actually have a true Tommy John. He had a repair and not a replacement. So maybe that would change your outlook just a sliver, maybe not.
I mean, I would say, it is definitely a positive that he didn't have to have holes drilled in his bones so that they could run new tendon through it. But regardless, he is still an overhead throwing athlete. It's a tough injury to come back from.
No doubt.
If you're doing a lot of throwing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, I think the way we did this last year and the way we're going to do this again is we're kind of just going to go position by position, kind of roll through the roster, talk about kind of what we expect from various players, maybe make some comparisons to last year, guys we are excited about, guys who maybe we think are a little overrated or who may not play. Before we jump into position by position, do you have an offensive MVP and or an offensive breakout player that you want to just throw out there?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be our guy this year. I mean, my question will be, I think it's got to be Carson Beck, right? Like that's got to be our offense is going to run through him. So he will be our MVP or he'll be our LVP. And that will be it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Fair answer. I'm going to try to stay away from the low hanging fruit and go to somebody else. I think MVP, well, I'll take the group. The MVP's got to be the O-line. I think everything's going to stem from the O-line. We don't have a elite running back. I think, we'll talk about it. I think we have a bunch of good running backs. I don't think we have a first or second round pick on the roster at running back. So in order to keep the run game where it was last year, and in order to keep Carson healthy, it's the offensive line. In terms of a breakout player, going with Elijah Lofton, the tight end, H-back, do it all, everything. I think he's got to pick up slack from the wide receiver room, the tight end room, the fullback position. He's going to do a little bit of everything, and I think he's going to have a just gigantic season because he's the best playmaker on the outside that I think we're going to have this year, and I think he'll have a chance to show that. So we'll talk about him a little bit, as we get into it. Let's go through the rest of the QB room real quick. There's not a whole lot to say about Carson Beck. I think we beat that horse, but we can talk about the other folks, briefly. Hopefully we don't see a whole lot of them, but we did see Emory Williams in the bowl game against Iowa State. It was not good, and I was all aboard the Emory Express last year. I really thought he could be our starting quarterback this season. After that bowl game, I changed my mind rather quickly. Maybe a unfair snap take to swing so heavily off of one half of football, but that's all we have to go off of. So what do you think about Emory as a backup if he had to come play?
I don't know, man. I think Emory Williams would have led us to a 6-6 season at best. I think that he is a 6-6 quarterback. Like the definition of maybe good enough. Yeah, I mean, look, he's not mobile. His accuracy is decent. His arm is okay. Like the guy is just solid. Like maybe he nothing stands out, but nothing excites you. And that's what I'm worried about. If Carson Beck's not at full health, I mean, do we go to Emory or do we go try to look down the roster and say, is there a young guy that we just start getting reps to early?
Yeah, that's the question, right? And it depends on where you're at in the season, probably. And I do think Emory is QB2. If something happens to Carson, especially early in the year, I think it goes to Emory. And, you lean on the running game and you play the same type of game plan that Emory had as a true freshman against Florida State and against Clemson. And I think he can do that serviceably. It just looked so bad against Iowa State. He was getting passes batted down. He couldn't complete anything. The offense just went to a standstill. I think that was a bad game. Like, I don't think that's what it would look like day in and day out. This is year 3 under Dawson for Emory, and there's something to be said about that. Obviously, you can't make it if you don't have it. And I'm not saying that Emory has it or doesn't have it. I think we're a little more down on him than we probably should be. But obviously, you're not looking at winning the ACC if Emory's your quarterback. You're looking. I think 6-6 is also a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you're a middle of the pack ACC team trying to win 7 or 8, maybe 9 games, but that's a stretch
with a blue chip ratio over 50%.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Yeah, right. That would be the definition of what Miami has been for a long time, which is lots of talent and no follow through.
Yeah, we don't want that. So other QBs on the roster. Judd Anderson's going into his second year, and true freshman is Luke Nickel. A lot of people are excited about Luke Nickel, as we usually are for our incoming freshman QBs. It sounds like from a lot of reports, he's already kind of jumped Judd. Judd was more of a developmental type prospect. So, I mean, that checks out. But, you got to hope we don't see either of them this year, other than, fourth quarter in our USF game. Luke Nickel could be the guy next year. It's possible. So maybe by the end of the season, if for whatever reason something happens to Carson Beck, maybe they say, you know what, let's go to Luke and see what he's got. So let's hope that doesn't happen. We have 1 year of Carson. We want him. We want 14, 15 games of Carson Beck this season. Any other thoughts on QB?
My only prediction is, don't be surprised if Luke Nickel becomes QB2 before the end of the season.
Okay. Well, I will be surprised, but anything can happen. And either way, hopefully we won't know who's QB2 because we won't see him.
But it'll be interesting to see who's getting snaps against Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, that's true. And, with the redshirt rules now, he can play 4 games. So get him those snaps. And at the end of the day, though, in this era of NIL and transfer portal, if the guy's got the juice, you don't try to save a red shirt. Like, he's 3 years and gone. He could be 1 year and gone. So if he's giving you the best chance to win, just let him play. And that goes across the board. Okay, where do you want to go from here, Jiz? I'll give it to you.
I mean, you got to go to the running backs, right?
Okay. All right. So, let's see. Is it burping time? Hang tight. It's burping time.
What do we got? What do we got, Finn?
We got a little milk mustache.
Oh, we're getting grumbly. Oh, he's chilling. He's chilling.
And we got a burp. I mean, maybe that was just his head banging on my headphones. You're gonna have to tell me when he burps because I'm not gonna hear
it. Yeah. I had to switch on the anti-noise canceling feature on my headphones so that I could not feel like I'm talking in a silo.
Okay, so running backs. Let's start with kind of where we came from last year. Miami was one of the best running teams in the country last year. I think a lot of the stats, if you talk about yards per carry, I think we were 3rd behind like Notre Dame and one of the Big 12 teams. So best in the conference, better than any of the SEC schools. A lot of yards per carry behind a really good offensive line and a couple of big running backs. I mean, Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher kind of were the 1-2, and then Jordan Lyle was 3rd. This year, I would expect Jordan Lyle really to be that number 1 bell horse.
So you think he's going to get the nod over Fletcher? I mean, because Fletcher's going to be the workhorse, right? He's going to be your, 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of running back. But I do see that. I guess that was going to be, I was thinking about what we were talking about earlier. Who's my sort of breakout player? And I guess it's going to be Jordan Lyle, right? Like, there's a chance that Jordan Lyle turns into a true world-class home run hitter. And in which case, adding a second dimension to that Miami offense is going to be dangerous.
Yeah. So Jordan Lyle is a little bit of a dimension that was lacking last year. At least he has the potential to be,
right?
Because he's quicker, but he's still a big back, from college standards. Like, he's over 200 pounds. Like, he's not a speed back by any stretch. Now, he's not Damian Martinez, but he's kind of exactly what you want. This guy is wilding over here. He's really feeling these Miami running backs. But yeah, I think you know what you're going to get from Mark Fletcher. I think he's a very solid player. I think that he's going to be dependable. He's going to get tough yards. He's going to break some. It seems like he keeps getting himself into better and better shape every season. I was nervous when he hurt his, what was it, the Liz Frank or something in his foot at the end of freshman year. I was nervous he was never going to come back from that because that's a tough injury, and he was a big kid. And it was just the type of thing where I was like, man, he's already a big kid. Like, does he come back from this? Is he going to be in shape and fit? But he seems like he's lost weight since being on campus. He's getting himself into better shape. He just doesn't have the speed to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But Jordan Lyle does.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So that's just kind of why I think, and who starts, who gets the first carry of the season? Maybe that's Mark Fletcher. He's the older player. Maybe they give that to him. But I think by the end of the year, assuming both of them are healthy, you're going to see Jordan Lyle as the guy who's getting the most carries. They gave him number 2 on the uniform this season. So when you see and Fletcher number 4, And our third running back, Shamar Brown, the transfer from North Dakota State, I think.
NDSU.
Yeah, the Bison.
Go Herd. Yeah, go Herd.
So all three of these guys got single-digit numbers, which, means something. It means they think a lot of them. We got number 2, number 4, number 6. Those three dudes are going to be a very, very strong and impressive running back room, and they're going to be boosted by obviously a great offensive line, which we'll talk about. So I think those three are going to be the big three. True freshman Gerard Pringle coming in. Yep. That's your speed back, the kind of change of pace. We've had one of those for each of the last few years now, and they haven't really done anything pace. Right. Chris Johnson. I almost said Brashard Smith, but he never really was a running back for us, even though he was arguably our best. He had the best run of the season 2 years ago, even though he wasn't a running back. But yeah, Pringle has the chance. Freshmen, it's hard for freshmen to come in and play, but I think running back's a position where it's probably the easiest. There's not all that much they have to do. They just take the ball and run.
Well, and I think you might see some of these guys show up. I mean, show up in the return game. Who are you thinking is our sort of true, play breaker here on the return side? I know that's a whole nother episode, but you can't talk about home run hitters without talking about the return game.
Yeah, well, remember we brought in Keelan Marion from BYU, who was an All-American last year as a kick returner. So I think he's got that position.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's a position we usually do see. I think Jordan Lyle was involved with that last year. Chris Johnson. But right. I would expect to see Keelan Marion on kick return. Punt return, there's a whole bunch of different dudes who seem like they're kind of still trying to figure out who's going to be punt returning. There was another transfer that they brought in from – what was it? It came from Auburn, I believe. It was what's his name? Keontae Scott. Yeah, coming in from Auburn, who was a all-conference punt returner 2 years ago in the SEC. So there's dudes. I don't expect the running backs to factor in a ton. If they do, that's probably going to be Pringle in the kick return game. Before we jump off running backs, we also have second year from Chris Wheatley Humphrey.
Yep.
I just frankly don't expect him to play much this year. We could see a big jump, who knows? But I think Pringle's already going to be kind of ahead of him on the depth chart. So we'll just have to see. Anything can happen. Injuries happen at the position, unfortunately. But I'm expecting a huge year from Jordan Lyle, frankly.
Yep.
They're going to split up carries a lot. So, I want to say he's an 1,000-yard back, but I think that's just going to be tough because carries are going to be split up because it is such a deep room. But he's going to be a stud. I saw a preseason watch list for whatever the running back award is, and there was 15 different running backs from the ACC on it, and they didn't have a single University of Miami running back on it. So the country's asleep on Jordan Lyle. One of the recruiting services had him as the top running back in the country, in his recruiting class. So this dude's been hyped. He's not a nobody. He looks great, and I'm excited to see what he's got this year.
Yep. Yeah. I think Jordan Lyle is our biggest high ceiling guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's start making our way towards the outside.
Yeah.
And let's go to tight ends. Tight end's always a fun position, especially when you're tight end Elijah Arroyo, the next to take the jump to the NFL, second round pick to Seattle. Speaking of that, sad news on the NFL tight end side of things. Did you see Brevin, I think, tore his ACL or something? this
No,
week?
I didn't.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah,
Dang.
yeah. That's tough. He was going to be in for a big year with the Texans. So
I know.
I always loved him. He was probably my favorite player of the kind of Maney era.
I mean, he was such a versatile dual threat, right? Like he was in that same Jimmy Graham kind of mold. Like that has been what has made us truly tight end you is these big athletic dudes who can catch and block a little, but I mean,
Yeah, like David Njoku, who's probably our best NFL guy in the league right now, at
right.
least at the tight end position. Dude, it was so much fun. Him and Chris Herndon on the team together. Like,
Oh my God. Yeah.
we just seem to always have like one, if not two, just like studs at the tight end position. We're doing a
Right.
maneuver here. Oh,
Right.
hang on, Finley.
All good. What do we got? Finn, what are you thinking, boy? You like those big athletic tight ends that come out of the U?
You know it, baby. Oh, we got the hiccups and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
No, I'm trying to think about that unbroken, because it feels like we've just had an unbroken line of like basically wide receivers who were too big to play on the outside, right? Like, who was it when we got there? Who was before Brevin Jordan?
Clive. Well, it was Njoku and Herndon before Brevin.
But it was Clive even before. I mean, Clive was more of a traditional tight end.
But yeah, got drafted, played in the league.
Right. Yeah. And then it was Njoku, then it was Brevin, then it was
Mallory
and
Brevin were the same class, but Brevin came out early, so Mallory had a year by himself and was our leading receiver that year.
Right.
And then it went to really we kind of had a gap year.
Before, when did Elijah Arroyo didn't overlap with Brevin and Mallory?
I think he did overlap with Mallory, but Elijah was hurt his first few years, so like
That's right.
He wasn't able to break out until last season. So the first year we had Dawson, tight end was just a little weak, unfortunately, even though we had the dudes on the roster. But so I mean, I think especially talking versatility and Brevin Jordan, we can transition into what we got on the roster here because Elijah Lofton. He's like the second coming of Brevin Jordan. Maybe even a better athlete with the ball in his hands. Obviously, he's a little smaller. Like he's definitely a willing and very good blocker, but more of like the H-back type, more of the fullback type. I think he can be an inline guy, but like we're just not really going to use him like that. We have other guys to kind of fill that role. But in terms of the passing game, the screen game, the running game, Lofton's going to go crazy this year. Like,
yeah,
I think he's going to be like a 500 or 600 yard guy from scrimmage, maybe more. Like he might get up to 800 if you're talking about receiving and running because he's going to run the ball every now and then too from the fullback position. And shovel passes and stuff. I think if they scheme some stuff up for him, which I expect them to, because he's a stud, he's just going to go crazy. So we know what we got there, and then it gets a little shakier once we get past him, at least in terms of proven commodities.
Right. Isn't Nichols' brother a tight end?
Yeah, so Jack Nickel came in the transfer portal. He's not going to play. I think he was a courtesy pickup.
Mm-hmm.
But we did bring in another big tight end in the transfer portal. That is looking through the roster. Alex Bauman from Tulane.
Yeah.
More traditional tight end. They're excited about him from what they see in camp. Like he's a dude who played. Tulane's G5, but it's upper level G5, or I guess it's G6 now that the Mountain West has revived itself. I'm sorry, the Pac-12 is now the Mountain West adjacent, whatever. They're all cousins. So yeah, Alex Bauman, he's gonna play, and then a couple of freshmen. So Brock Schott is kind of a freak. Like he's almost like another Elijah Lofton, like just like kind of a smaller H-back type. Supposedly crazy fast. Confirmed just set the Miami tight end squatting record
as a freshman.
560 pounds, I think I saw. As a freshman, just broke a record from dudes, all the dudes who've come through the Miami tight end room,
Yep.
And there's been dudes and they've been 22 years old, and he just did it as a 18-year-old freshman.
Or in the case of last year's tight end room, you have a 30-year-old dude in Cam McCormick.
Right. If he was squatting 500 pounds, though, he probably would have been in the league 6 years ago. But speaking of Cam McCormick, I saw he got a job as like a scout or something for one of the NFL teams. So
really? Good for him.
Dude's going pro and basically something like football.
Didn't he? Did he have one more year of eligibility left or no? I thought he might have.
No, last year was his, because he played 2 years with us.
Oh, right. Yeah. He had an extra year of eligibility after year 7 to come back for year 8.
That's right. And he scored the first touchdown of the season last year. Don't forget it. He had like 4 last year. He was, he was a good blocker, 4 tutties. Yeah. Like, hey, it was good to have him. But someone's got to fill that role, because, Elijah Lofton is not filling the role of McCormick. Like, someone's going to be that. Is it going to be Bauman? Is it going to be a little bit of everybody? The other true freshman coming in is Jackson Gilbert.
Oh, okay. Jackson Carver. Because I was looking at Alex Gilbert.
Oh, sorry. Luka Gilbert.
Okay.
Yeah, Luka Gilbert's the true freshman. Jackson Carver has been here a couple of years. I think he's out for the season, unfortunately. But yeah, Luka Gilbert is the other true freshman. This is more of like a traditional tight end size. I think he's still got some like girth to put on, but he's 6'7", and you just can't teach that. I remember a year or two ago, Texas Tech had like a 6'8" or 6'9" tight end that was just a red zone menace. Or maybe Texas Tech had one. There was one at Iowa State. Like, this dude, it's just a dude who can be a matchup problem. You put that dude in the slot, and it's like, okay, put your typical nickel corner on him, and
good luck.
Yeah. So there's some diversity in the tight end room. How do you fill an Elijah Arroyo? Nobody's going to do that, but a bunch of different players can kind of combine to recreate kind of what we had going on last year with the Arroyo and the McCormick. And then, like I said, I think Elijah Lofton just going to be absolute menace.
Yeah. I mean, I feel good about our tight end room. I think it would be a concerning year if Miami didn't have at least one tight end that we felt really strong about. Mm-hmm. So,
well, especially because, we feel great about running back. At least I feel great about running back. Tight end, feeling pretty good, cautiously optimistic.
Yep.
And then wide receiver, maybe I'm going to say not so much. I'm slightly pessimistic on wide receiver.
Well, I mean, this has been the issue. I think I called it out last year, even with Xavier Restrepo. The wide receiver room has been consistently underperforming.
Well, I mean, I forgot to pull up my notes because I listened through our call from last year. I think you were down on the wide receiver room somewhat last year, and I mean, they showed up. They showed up last year. Did they get drafted? No, but I mean, Restrepo was an All-American. Jacoby had 800 yards. Isaiah Horton went to Alabama. Like, the wide receivers performed last year, and it wasn't because they were super, super talented. So that gives a little bit of hope.
I mean, it gives the wide receivers showed up, yes, but also, I mean, there were a handful of drop balls that did not look very good. It felt like
Not many, but there was a few.
I mean, it felt like Cam Ward was truly Superman, and these guys were the beneficiary. Somebody had to catch Superman's balls.
That's right. Somebody's got to catch Superman's balls. Somebody's got to catch Carson Beck's balls too. And
Haley Cavender is not going to be doing that anymore.
Thank goodness. That was a. I'm happy for Carson. He's a free man. He's free. He can focus on the finer things in life, like giving his balls to his receivers.
That's right.
So listen. Last year, we knew what we were gonna get. I don't think we expected it to be as tight of a rotation as it ended up being. You know, it was 4 guys against the world.
Yep.
We were surely at the beginning of the year thinking that some of the younger players would be a little bit more impactful, at least just like giving those dudes a break. But I guess, you know, when you score so fast and you can sit on the bench and then go right back out after the defense gives it up. But I think this year we're going to be in a much deeper rotation. And it's not necessarily because we have better depth. It's because the top heaviness isn't there. You don't have a bunch of veterans and known commodities. They're going to have to be feeling it out, especially in the first few games, just to see who these dudes are. So let's go through and talk about who we expect to be kind of the first string guys. I can go first with that. I think there's a top 3 right now.
Yep.
And maybe your top 3 is different than mine, but I see that being JoJo Trader.
Yep.
CJ Daniels, the transfer from LSU by way of Liberty, or Liberty by way of LSU. And then Malachi Toney, the true freshman. I think.
You put Toney above Ray Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just listening to the people who are watching practice and, you know, hyping up everybody and everything. 2 months ago, JoJo Trader was supposed to be the number 1. As of last week, I think there was rumors that JoJo was in a walking boot, some non-disclosed injury. Don't know if that's true or not, but I will say that people have not been hyping him up for the last couple weeks, you know, since practices have started. I think that some of the luster and maybe the fringe 5-star recruiting status has worn off a little bit. But I think JoJo's a gamer. Like, I think he's the type of dude who isn't going to be the best looking guy in practice because he doesn't run a 4.3 and he's not 6'4", 220. Like, he's kind of a smaller guy, you know, 6 foot and thin. But I think he's a gamer. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to end up being one of our top 3 guys. I don't know if the ceiling's high enough to say, like, this is going to be a number 1 guy. This is going to be a dude who we can, like, really rely on to, like, carry the torch. But I feel okay with him being one of our starting receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's how I feel as well. Oh my God. In some senses, he gives me a little bit of the Devontae Smith feel, right? Like, Devontae Smith wasn't big. He was not jacked. He was not fast, but Devontae Smith was a gamer, and the dude won a Heisman because of it.
Right. Yeah. And if you want a more Miami comp, Jacoby George, similar profile, athletically probably. And, you know, Jacoby didn't get drafted, but he was a dude who racked up 800 yards like 2 years in a row. So if we can get that type of production, maybe if we even get 75% of Jacoby's production, I think we're doing okay for year 2 of JoJo Trader. Really his first year as a, starter, or at least legitimate, role player. CJ Daniels seems like he's kind of our Isaiah Horton replacement. Maybe not quite as big in terms of being like the big dude on the outside. They have him listed at 6'2". Horton, I think, was more like a 6'4", but supposedly very reliable. Apparently, he didn't have any drops recorded last season. Apparently, he was playing hurt last season. It sounded like Brian Kelly really liked him and had good things to say about him. Apologies for these hiccups that Finley's rocking with, but he's going to be the leader. I mean, he's a 6-year redshirt senior, been around the block, just the type of dude that you gotta have in a room, a glue guy. And I think the ceiling's higher than maybe we're expecting. Like, if he really was hurt last year and it turns out he's healthy, like, this could be a dude, especially if Carson Beck is humming and the offense gets moving. CJ Daniels could get back to, NFL hype type form. And ultimately, I think he's going to be our number one guy and the go-to guy.
Right. I mean, and just remember, in 23, when he was at Liberty, he did have over 1,000 yards in that 13-1 season when they went to the Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. Like, he can go out there and play. I mean, again, Liberty's what? SoCon? No, Conference USA.
Liberty Dibberty,
playing in a do you even call them a group of 6 or a group of 5 conference?
Well, they were independent 2 years ago. I think last year was their first year in a conference.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know, Liberty, whatever, Liberty Dibberty. But yeah, CJ Daniels, I'm expecting big things from. Next, so now we kind of JoJo's a type of dude who I think could play in the slot. Just depends. They'll probably use him outside though. That's what it seemed like. He'll be an outside guy. So the slot's up for grabs. You said Ray Joseph. I said Malachi Tony. There is also a transfer who came in from Cincinnati by the name of Tony Johnson, who is another dude who's not really a physical freak, not like the typical athletic profile you look for. He was a former walk-on originally at FAU before going to Cincinnati. So not a elite athlete, but he led Cincinnati in touchdowns last season. It's a dude who can play. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to factor in there too. But the reason I went with Malachi Tony kind of as the first string, at least by the end of the year, just the way people have been talking about him in practice, apparently the dude just gets it. He's like a youth football legend down there. He was playing quarterback in the state championship game and playing quarterback well. So he was at the same high school as Dia Bell, Raj's kid, who ended up going to Texas. It's like a 5-star QB. So Dia went down. I think they were at Heritage. Dia went down, and then at the end of the season championship, Malachi's just like, all right, well, shit, I'll go play quarterback, and was just slinging it all over the place. Like a dude who just gets the football side. He is a reclassified freshman, so he's jumped a year. But from what I understand, he was kind of a year behind. So really, he's at his natural age. So it's not like he's just turned 17 and like isn't going to be as physically ready as some of these other reclassified freshmen. He should be, more like a typical college freshman, which still is early for someone you're going to be relying on. But he's just kind of a bigger small slot, like kind of a Restrepo-esque, like a bigger short kid. So, once again, like we can't be comparing him to Restrepo, just like I'm not going to compare Josiah to Jacoby in the sense of like a first time starter versus a dude who's been doing it for a few years. But physically, you can make the argument that, just like Josiah might be physically a better athlete than Jacoby. I think you can make the argument that Malachi is going to have better testing numbers than X. So, not saying he's an 1,000-yard receiver, but I think Malachi is going to be a major factor.
Right. I think there's a high probability he will be a contributor as a true reclassified freshman, which I think, like you said, yeah, he's a little older for a reclass, but I mean, I think the dude he's got skill, right? Like there's no doubt, and we'll see how his, the legend of his South Florida exploits transfers over to the next level. I mean, there's no better football than South Florida football, but we'll see.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Ray. I'll let you talk about Ray if you want to, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
No, I mean, why do you feel like Ray wasn't your dude? I mean, I can understand why you went Tony. It's like, it's pretty close, but I thought just Ray's experience could have been sort of the differentiator here and why he would get the nod.
Yeah, so he's a third-year guy now. It's kind of funny. If you remember from 2 years ago, we were talking about Ray the way we're talking about Malachi right now.
Right, exactly. He was a hyped prospect.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype. But it didn't come together. Ray played running back in high school, kind of like Brashard Smith. Like he was asked to kind of transition to a slot receiver, and maybe that just the transition was more challenging than expected. I think I was going to say maybe he's not cut out for it, just like kind of Brashard. Obviously was a better running back than a receiver. Ray is working hard. He's still here, which is telling. Like he could have left. People would have wanted him. I just don't see it in terms of like, I find that once you've had a guy who's been around for a couple of years, maybe O-line's different. O-line's more of a developmental position, but a lot of times guys are who they are. And I think that Ray is going to play more this year. I think he's going to be in the rotation. I just don't see him making a jump from a dude who couldn't get on the field last year to a guy who's going to get significant snaps this season. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it was just that, he had a drop early in the season last year, and then after that just didn't play much at all. Maybe it was a confidence thing. Maybe it was we have Xavier Restrepo and we can't take him off the field. But I just don't see that big of a change occurring.
Well, right. I mean, I think last year is not as indicative. I think last year was more indicative of the talent that we had, that we were slightly top heavy. I know I said that our talent wasn't great. I still stand by that, even post hoc, that, our wide receivers were okay. But I mean, if you just look around from an offensive weapon perspective, yeah, a converted running back playing in the slot was not going to supersede any of the guys we had out there, right? I mean, he would have probably been not even our top 10 best weapons, right? So there was no reason for him to be on the field, but now those guys have all moved on, right?
Maybe. Well, I'm gonna give you one more little bullet point to support my case. I don't think we go out and get a Tony Johnson. And I don't think Tony Johnson comes here if he thinks Ray Joseph is playing more than he's going to play.
Yeah.
So, I I'd love to be wrong and have Ray, really show out. I just don't think he's going to be a dude who's getting multiple touches a game. I think he might come in as kind of the second or third slot guy. And, if he makes a play, things change. But that's where I see Ray. There's other guys still that could factor into the rotation. Probably not, starter level snaps,
No.
at least right off the bat. But like we've discussed, we're not top heavy. All it would take is one big play and somebody could, vault up. So we'll start with Keelan Marion.
Right.
We mentioned briefly in terms of being a return guy, but he's going to play wide receiver. He's a bigger guy. Like he's not a,
Right.
the prototypical small speed guy. He's like a 200-pound, 6 foot, sturdy, older player, redshirt senior type dude. So, Finley's alive. So he didn't have a ton of success as a receiver at BYU. They like to use him in kind of like the jet sweeps, gadget type stuff. I think he'll have a similar role here. If the light comes on in terms of running routes, that's a type of dude with an athletic profile to be a big time receiver. He just hasn't put it together. So there's the potential there. He's going to get snaps. Joshua Moore, true freshman.
Yep.
True freshman. Some kind of a lot of hype around him as the next Isaiah Horton type specimen, a taller outside receiver. They gave him the number 3. And, Ray has the number 5. It's a good number. But so I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit. But the dudes who have single digit numbers, these are dudes. These are dudes. Ray, I'm pretty sure they gave Ray that number as a true freshman. So it's not really something that they were like promoting him this year per se, like some of these other dudes who get their numbers bumped up or boosted or whatever. Speaking of which, when I'm looking at the roster right now, Keelan Marion and JoJo Trader both have number 0, which is weird. I'm pretty sure that number 1s haven't been awarded yet, and JoJo is going to end up getting a number 1, which they kind of give as it's like a badge of honor. Instead of putting an L on their chest, they give them number 1. So I think JoJo is going to end up with that number 1. Just kind of weird to see 2 wide receivers both with 0s on the roster right now. JoJo had 0 last year, but
right.
I think he'll be number 1 when the roster updates before the season. So anyway, I got off on a tangent there. Josh Moore, single digit number, big bodied true freshman. He's another dude who by the end of the season, like who knows? You remember the true freshman season that Amon Richards had back in 2015? 16.
Yeah.
16. No.
15.
It was 2015. Yeah, his true freshman season was 2015.
Right.
Not that it matters, but same situation where you had a high-level 4-star player coming in and just started dominating. And, that could happen with the Josh Moore. Maybe not against Notre Dame the first week of the season, but who knows? So we talked about Ray, we talked about CJ, we talked about Malachi.
I haven't talked about
Nikar. Yeah. So he hit the transfer portal and then he came back. So true sophomore. Last year, he was a top 100 recruit. Didn't really play last year. He's another dude who could be in the slot rotation. It's interesting that he came back, and it's nice that he came back. But again, there's a lot of dudes in that mix I don't see Nikar as one of the dudes who's going to be playing a lot against Notre Dame week 1. But
Right.
by the end of the season, Nikar could factor in. We'll see. We'll have to see there. Another true freshman in this year's class is Dalen Upshaw from Alabama. People like him. So this is another dude who's probably going to end up with a redshirt type season, but you never know what's going to happen with these freshmen. You just don't know. One more scholarship wide receiver, another dude in the sophomore class, Chance Robinson. He was hurt all year last year, but he is a bigger bodied, good sized outside receiver, like a 6'2", 200-pound type kid. If he's healthy, another that's a specimen who could work his way onto the field. So, so that's how many dudes? How many dudes did we just say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
10 guys, 10 scholarship receivers. And there's just not that much separation between the third guy and the 10th guy.
I agree.
So I mean, we know CJ Daniels is going to play.
Yep.
If JoJo's healthy, we know he's going to play.
Yep. And then it's a lot of who knows after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of who knows after that. That's right. So, all in all, could these dudes combine to put up a similar amount of yards that our 4 guys had last year? Yeah, why not? It's going to be way spread out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who emerges and really takes sort of control of their own destiny in terms of getting on the field.
So somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you had to pick one of these dudes outside of, so let's take CJ Daniels out, let's take JoJo out, let's take Malachi out, and let's take Ray out, because those were kind of the dudes that we, respectively called out as kind of the first line.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be your pick for somebody who's going to be kind of I don't want to say a breakout, but who's a surprise, like a dark horse for a lot of snaps, a lot of yards, a lot of catches, a lot of touchdowns?
I mean, to me, it would be your best bet for a dark horse here is Tony Johnson.
I like that. Yeah, that's
right?
Where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because he's got the experience. The question is, will he get on the field? Will we have an opportunity to see him actually try to break out?
He's going to get on the field. He's going to play. I think he's a high ceiling, probably a low floor. I'm sorry. He's a high floor, kind of low ceiling.
Low ceiling. Yeah.
I think we can pretty much guarantee 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, pretty much guaranteed. And it could be a lot more than that, at least on the touchdown side. I think he had 7 last year to lead Cincinnati. So especially because we talked about the slot, his competition in the slot is a true freshman in Malachi, who could be a stud, but he's a true freshman. He's not going to play the way X played last year in terms of the quantity or the quality, probably. And Ray Joseph, who's been unreliable and who hasn't really had the snaps. So Tony Johnson's going to play. Yeah.
I mean, and we're probably going to be spreading it out quite a bit, running 4 receiver packages.
Yeah. Keelan Marion's going to be more of the gadget guy, but if you had to say, hey, give me one dude on this list who could potentially lead the team in yards, Keelan Marion could be a sneaky dark horse there, because it's got to click. But if it does click, that's a sneaky potential stud.
But what it feels a little Devin Hester where he needs the space to be able to make plays, and Devin Hester never really caught on as a true lined up wide receiver.
Yes.
So I think that's the only watch out is that, he might be just a dude who needs to catch the ball with space to make plays.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides that, I just don't see any of our homegrown guys really breaking out. Like we're gonna see flashes. I'm very confident. Josh Moore is gonna have some big flash plays.
Yep.
Somebody like Nikar or Chance Robinson is going to come in and have a couple of flash plays, but I think we're going to end up by the end of the season being a little top heavy again. We'll end up with a separation, and there'll be a clear 4 or 5 guys who are like, all right, these are our guys. Let's go, Carson. Let's roll.
Yep.
All right. So we've kind of beat the horse on the skill players. Do you have any final thoughts before we go into the O-line? Just pacifier down. I think we're in clear alignment here, but if we're talking about how we'd rank our rooms, running back, tight end, wide receiver, I think it goes like that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's talk about the O-line briefly, because we got to put Finley to bed here soon, and we got to put myself to bed as well. Daddy needs some sleep. But listen, the O-line,
we can kind of brush over it because we know what we're getting. It's going to be one of the best units in the country. And
yeah. So I was going to say it's the strongest unit on the team.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are potentially some arguments, maybe the running back room, although I don't think you can make that with I don't think you can make a strong case about the running back room. Maybe the defensive line, and I don't know, maybe the quarterback, just if you say, it's a one-man position and we have Carson Beck. But the offensive line, like you said, should be one of the best in the country. Top 5, if not top 3, if not top 1. That will probably depend on the play of the center. Transfer James Brockermeyer comes in from TCU, a former big-time recruit at Alabama. If he plays well and kind of continues the standard of transfer centers that we've developed over the last couple of years, because it was Matt Lee, and then what's the dude from last year's name? I'm blanking, but he came from what, Indiana. But if Brockermeyer can play at or close to the level that they played at, which is a borderline all-conference level, or at least a solid starting level, ACC center level. Like we can't have false starts every game. We can't have botch snaps every game. We can't have, obviously, like the center controls the whole offensive line. So like he's got to play good. That's the key. That's the glue. But if he plays well, the rest of the line's crazy. And even our second team offensive line, unproven, but I feel like our second team offensive line is better than at least half of the ACC. Like realistically, half of the schools in the ACC would take our second team offensive line in a heartbeat.
And our second team offensive line has probably been better than any offensive line we've had before Mario came to town.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Say what you want about Mario's decision making and whatnot, but this team has gotten really deep. Like, I don't think we've had this level, and we'll talk about this on defense too. When we get into the defensive line, cornerbacks, linebackers, where it's not quite there at safety, but 3/4 of the defense is hella thick in terms of depth. Maybe still missing some of those top level first round picks, but offensive line, they have that too, right? Because like Maui Noah on the right side, if he's healthy, like this is a top 10 overall pick. Inez Cooper came back for his senior year. I think he's chronically slept on. I mean, this dude's been a stud in college, and I feel like he's an NFL player.
Oh,
And
for
then,
sure.
and then on the left side, it seems like Markel Bell is going to be the starting left tackle.
Yep.
Just an absolute monster. If he plays well, he has the physical traits to be another first round pick, or 6'9", however much he weighs, like just a absolute monster. If he plays well, he's gone to the league as a day 1, day 2, early day 3 pick. And then left guard, still a little bit up in the air, but we got a bunch of dudes who've played. I think that's going to end up being, who is it?
Matthew McCoy.
Matt McCoy. Yeah, it seems like Matt McCoy is going to end up at left guard. Maybe don't sleep on Ryan Rodriguez again. He beat out Matthew McCoy last year before he got hurt. So Ryan Rodriguez could sneak in there. And, speaking of Ryan Rodriguez, if Brockermeyer is struggling at center, Ryan Rodriguez will make that change. And I think that he's high level enough that if we end up with Ryan Rodriguez playing center, we're in great shape. If Samson comes off the bench, we're fine. If Tommy Kinsler comes off the bench, we're fine. So those dudes are going to come in and rotate a little bit, get some action. But yeah, we go a legit 8 deep at O-line without missing a beat. And then you've got a bunch of more developmental people waiting behind them. So overall, just stoked with what we have on the offensive line. It's going to allow the running game to do what it's going to do. And it should give some time for Carson Beck to have some fun out there and, recreate some of that Cam Ward magic.
Yeah, I mean, and the great thing is, and this is what gets me excited about Mario, because Mario wins games between January and August, and then Mario loses games when he has decision rights from August to January. like, and it just seems like our pipeline of offensive line continues to run deep, right? We've got some true freshmen who come on campus, right? You got SJ, you got Max Buchanan. Like these are interior line guys, and then we've got 2 dudes in the recruiting class of 26 who are going to be the tackles of the future. Like it's just we are getting to an Alabama level where it's not rebuild, it's reload in the trenches.
Yeah, Jazzo spitting facts right there. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I shout out to SJ Alafai-Tuli, the best center prospect in the class, coming in as a true freshman. He is going to be a stud, if not next year, the year after that. And it just, the thing that's really cool is the O-line is just buying in, and these dudes are staying. Like Samson could have transferred. Tommy Kinsler could have transferred. Like these dudes who are like looked at as future high level, college players, future NFL players are hanging around and waiting until their 3rd or 4th year in the system to get starter snaps. They also know that they're one play away from getting in there. If an injury happens, they're right there, but they're waiting around. They're going to get in, have their year, and go pro, or they'll have their 2 years and go pro.
Well, it's the Alabama model, right? You wait for 3 years, you get your 1 year to shine, and then you're picked in the first 3 rounds, right? Like, and that's where I think it has been a real revolution for the Canes, right? I mean, championships are built in the trenches, which I finally appreciate. We've historically over-indexed on skill positions and under-indexed on line. And I do appreciate that Mario has tried to build us from the inside out.
Yeah, and we'll get into that next time we chat, maybe over the weekend or whenever, about the D-line too, because you could say the same thing about the D-line. A lot of the same trends, in a good way, are occurring there. But yeah, O-line, stoked. Running back room, very confident. Excited to see these guys go out there and churn yards. Carson Beck, cautiously optimistic.
We'll see.
I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think he's going to be really good. So, tight end room, excited to watch. It's going to be a fun room to watch. I don't think we have any real NFL. Well, we have NFL talent. They're just young. In terms of the upperclassmen, like these guys aren't day 1, day 2 picks. Probably not day 3 either. But that's okay. A lot of different roles, and curious to see who gets on the field. But Elijah Lofton going to be so much fun. Brock Schott going to be a lot of fun. And then the wide receiver room, I don't know how it's going to shake out, but somebody's going to catch the ball, and I'm curious to see who it's going to be.
That, or we're just going to run the fucking ball 40 times a game.
Yeah. So before we sign off for today, big picture, we had the best offense in the country last year by far. There's only one way to go. This we're trending down. It's a matter of how hard, and I feel pretty good that this is a top 10 offense. I don't think last year's team was a generational elite of elite. It was almost the perfect storm of things coming together, but there's still a lot to like about this year's team. So where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I will be happy if we end up being a top 25 offense. I would say that I'm ready for the downturn, and there's only one Cam Ward, right? We are not going to have Cam Ward out there playing 11-on-1 like we did last year. But I think with another year of maturing on the line, with another year of maturing in the backs room, I think we're gonna look like a more boring offense, but I think we're gonna be efficient and it's gonna win games. Now The question is, Freed, can the defense stop somebody?
Yeah, that's the question. And dude, you know what? I think you're sleeping on the offense, man. I'm confident that it's gonna look good. 3rd year now with Shannon Dawson. There's something to be said about that too. Even if it's a first year quarterback coming in, he's getting more comfortable. He's getting in his bag. He's with the offensive line for basically 3 years now. This is a mature, old team. Carson Beck's 23, right? Or at least 22. He's an old dude. The offensive line is full of old dudes. With Brockermeyer being a 5th-year guy at center, Cooper a 4th-year guy, Mauinoa a 3rd-year guy now.
Right. Yeah.
Markel, he was a JUCO, but so he's older. McCoy, 3rd-year guy. So mature team. Fletcher and Lyle in the backfield as kind of our the 1-2. You don't really get 5th-year dudes at running back. They go to the league, but wide receiver, that's where it changes. But remember, like we talked about, you could have a lot of CJ Daniels, a lot of Tony Johnson, maybe even a lot of Keelan Marion. Like those are 3 5th-year dudes. So it's an old team on offense, and there's something to be said about that for college football. I would be surprised if we're not a top 10 offense. I think somewhere between 5 and 10 is a sweet spot for the offense this year.
Well, we'll agree to disagree, but I think our offense will definitely not be the concern about winning us games. They will do their job, is what I will feel. Where that ranks in terms of nationally, we'll see. But
yeah. We can only hope. All right, Jazz. Well, let's call it quits for today. We'll let y'all know when we're picking back up on the defense. Hopefully at some point this weekend. For all of you out there, if you listen to this, if you got this far, drop us a line. Let us know what you think. Where's the offense going to be? Are we scoring 40 points a game again? Are we scoring 35? Are we scoring 30? Is Carson Beck gonna leave us with Emory Williams and we score in 12. You tell us.
Yeah, but in the meantime, between now and then, when are we getting Finley's huddle profile up?
Bro, Finley is gonna be a golfer.
What, class of 2043? No. 20.
40,
that would be the
43. Yeah, 2043.
No, that's the year he'll enter. Well, I guess that would be, yeah, I guess that's his recruiting class year, would be 2043.
Yeah, he's a July baby, so he's going to be young for his age. So we might have to drop a class back or something,
2044, baby. Look out.
And then we'll reclassify backwards like Malachi Tony style, so that we get that extra hype. All right, everybody.